From the National Newsroom of the Canadian Press, I'm Don Mitchell. Ahead of this week's United Nations General Assembly meeting, Prime Minister Mark Carney is formally announcing that Canada will recognize a Palestinian state. Carney saying in a statement today, the recognition is firmly aligned with the principles of self-determination and fundamental human rights reflected in the UN Charter. Other major international allies, including the United Kingdom and Australia, are joining Canada in recognizing the two-state solution. Meanwhile, Canada and several other countries deciding to formally recognize a Palestinian state is drawing condemnation from Israel. ABC's Tom Sufi-Burrage says Israel's leaders argue recognition of Palestinian statehood will not foster a long-lasting peace.
Israel says this will be a reward for Hamas, and the Trump administration agrees. They say it will do nothing for the negotiating process to end the war in Gaza. France, the UK, and all these countries which are recognizing Palestinian statehood say this is a last chance saloon for the two-state solution.
Elsewhere, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy expects to meet with U.S. President Donald Trump on the sidelines at the General Assembly in New York this week, as both Russia and Ukraine continued attacks on the weekend.
Ukrainian attacks on Russia's Belgorod region have killed at least 2 civilians, while Russian shelling in eastern Ukraine left at least 1 man dead, according to officials. Meanwhile, this week at the United Nations General Assembly, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy expects to meet President Trump. Trump has said he hopes to gauge how close Ukraine and its partners are to finalizing long-term security guarantees. On Saturday, Trump voiced his frustration and disappointment with Russian President Vladimir Putin over a peace deal.
That was the one I thought would be easiest for, because I have a good relationship with President Putin. Disappointed in him, but I do. I thought that would be the easiest one, but we'll get it done one way or the other.
On Sunday, Trump was asked whether he will help defend Poland and the Baltic states if Russia keeps escalating.
Yeah, I would.
Trump said, "I would." I'm Julie Walker.
And a spokesperson at a farm in B.C. says they're exploring an offer from an American online commentator seeking to help ostriches that have been earmarked for destruction due to an avian flu outbreak. Universal Ostrich Farms' Katie Pasitny says they are aware of conservative commentator Chris Saunders' Facebook video offering sanctuary at a couple of his ranches in Oklahoma, Texas, and South Dakota. The Edgewood, B.C. acreage has been calling on supporters to gather at the property to save about 400 birds targeted by the Canadian Food Inspection Agency for a cull. Pasitny says in a Facebook post she thinks the CFIA will carry out the cull today and is asking supporters to reach out to authorities with calls to stand down. This is the Canadian Press.
Ground ball to second. The Blue Jays are going to the postseason.
And that was the call on the final out from Rogers Sportsnet as the Toronto Blue Jays officially clinched a playoff berth after defeating the Kansas City Royals 8-5 this afternoon. It will be the first postseason appearance for the Jays since 2023. Philadelphia Flyers legend and Hall of Fame goaltender Bernie Parent has died at the age of 80. Parent led the Flyers to their only 2 Stanley Cup championships in 1974 and 75. And 6 Canadian NHL teams are in preseason action tonight, including the nation's capital, where the Toronto Maple Leafs are visiting the Ottawa Senators. Elsewhere, Edmonton plays a pair of split games against Calgary, Seattle hosts Vancouver, and Minnesota visits Winnipeg. The puck drops on the NHL regular season October 7th. From the Canadian Press, I'm Don Mitchell.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to follow and subscribe. For more of today's top stories, visit thecanadianpressnews.ca.